Hello and welcome everybody to the very first episode of Between the Sticks. I'm Sahib, one of your co-hosts, and this right here is my mate, Nabil. Nabil, say hi to everybody.
Hello, we finally made it. It's
Yes,
a long journey, but we're here.
we definitely are. So basically, we'll kind of run you guys, for the very first episode, we'll run you guys through what our show is going to consist of, and we're going to be talking about footy, AFL football, a very big sport down here in Australia. I'm a Collingwood supporter. This right here is a Carlton supporter, which we're going to have a lot of fun with this. And we'll be talking to you guys a lot about Carlton and Collingwood, or a bit about Carlton and Collingwood, a lot about footy, a lot about the AFL landscape, the way things are kind of moving and shaking, a lot of the big things that make headlines, a lot of the stories.
Big news stories that they talk about in the media.
Absolutely.
Give our take on them.
Yes, in a more light-hearted, joking manner.
Plenty of arguments though.
Absolutely. That's basically what we started this podcast for. We're great mates. We always have these arguments off camera and we're hanging out. So why don't we just make a podcast and have a bit of a show for everybody to see on? And yeah, kind of giving our thoughts on the rest of this 2025 season and the games that come up every round and who we think will kind of get over the line and whatnot. And that'll kind of be the majority of what our podcast will be about, right?
Yeah, pretty much. We'll talk footy, really, in a nutshell, and talk plenty of shit.
Absolutely. We'll get started then. And the very first part of this show will be kind of going over the games from Collingwood and Carlton over the weekend. And since Carlton didn't really have or had the bye this week, it was just a Collingwood game, and what a performance that was.
It was Friday night against Hawthorn.
Against a miserable Hawks team.
It was a good four-quarter performance.
Absolutely.
Jack Ginnivan, you turned him into prime Chris Judd.
Useless Chris Judd in a team that's rubbish, but a great player.
Kicked 3 goals in, I don't know, is it 30 disposals? That's Chris Judd-like. This guy was playing VFL.
Put some respect on Chris Judd's name and stop comparing him to Jack Ginnivan or vice versa. Chris Judd was a superstar in a very shit Carlton team for a very long time. I don't know what sane mind.
2 Brownlows.
Hey, listen, Eddie Maguire didn't try hard enough. He could have brought him to Collingwood.
Yeah,
Jack Ginnivan had a decent game. I think that's the only thing Hawthorn supporters can, take away from that game, or any non-Hawthorn supporter for that matter, is that Jack Ginnivan had 3 and had 33, but I don't think anybody will remember that because they'll just remember us belting them, simply put.
It was a great performance though by Collingwood.
Greatest performance of the year?
Maybe.
Listen,
I'll
everybody else in the AFL landscape has been saying it.
Yeah, I'll pay the compliments when they're there, but might be up there.
A Carlton supporter giving Collingwood compliments.
Can't believe it.
Listen, 2025 times have changed.
I can't believe it. It was a good quarters.
But there was a particular player you wanted to have a chat about today.
He took a contested mark.
Of course.
Nick Dacos, a questionable. I don't even think it was a contested mark, but whatever.
I mean, is it really a problem that he hadn't taken a contested mark till now? He is a midfielder, an inside midfielder at that. He's not Patrick Cripps. He's not 195 and 100
Harley
kilos.
Reid does every week. He jumps into packs.
Harley Reid looks like he could eat Nick Dacos. If you put the two side by side, Harley Reid looks like he has Nick Dacos for breakfast. There's a bigger body inside midfielder versus an outside midfielder or a half-backer who's turned into one.
He should be able to jump and take a mark.
He has. He finally has.
He did, yeah.
See, this is how good Nick Dacos is. They haven't been able to find a flaw in his game all this time. And the contested mark was the only thing. They're like, he hasn't taken a contested mark yet. And he finally did.
True. He did.
What else do you want him to add?
One contested mark in 82 games.
That's fine. That's fine. He's collected possessions. He's scored goals. He's everything else. Every other stat you want to include in the AFL game, he's already accomplished. He's not your Charlie Curnow. He's not your Jacob Wiedering. He's not your Darcy Moore.
Takes contested marks.
That's my point. He's not those guys. He's the guy delivering the ball to them. So, unfortunately, yes, he hadn't taken a contested mark till this last weekend, and he had a great game himself.
He did, and Collingwood were good as well. So,
absolutely smashed Hawthorn.
Yeah,
absolutely destroyed them. I reckon. The pressure.
It was unbelievable.
The ball movement, the defense. You know who I'm low key enjoying watching his season? Jeremy Howe. Has been having, for a 34-year-old, he has been having a great season. And him along with Pendlebury, Sidebottom, who else is part of Elliot? He was leading the Coleman after that Hawthorn Collingwood game. If it wasn't for Jeremy Cameron kicking 4 goals in the last quarter against West Coast. But yeah, all those old and slow and they can't get it going anymore, guys.
Premierships are not won in May or June now. We're in June. They're not won in June. They're won in September. So
see, funny you mentioned that.
Just chill out a little bit. Just chill out. They're not won now. They're won in September. They're gone all right. There's still half a season to go. There's still finals. And
I mean, we were here exactly in this place 2 years ago, Collingwood, halfway through a season. We were floating away at the top of the table. I think maybe we were even a game clear or something.
I mean,
and then what ended up happening that year?
We can talk about 2 years ago because
we're even better than 2 years ago now.
2 years ago, and now
not about Carlton. Carlton are in the mud right now, and I don't think they're going to get out of there anytime soon.
I'll tell you the pathway out of that.
But yeah, I think we're going pretty well.
No,
I think you think that we're going pretty well too.
Hey, I'll admit it. Where is due?
I love this, guys. We want more of this on the show.
No, this is the first and last time. But speaking of Carlton,
yes,
I've done some research. I'm going to tell you.
Mind you, this is because they didn't have a game this weekend. So
this is a special. This is a special episode.
This is a special first episode.
Yeah.
Go on.
So
what do you want to talk about, Carlton?
I've done some research.
Alrighty.
1999 prelim final.
We're talking
26 years ago.
Goodness gracious me. I was talking about last Friday night.
I'm telling you, this is the pathway to Carlton playing finals.
Go on.
We're down and out. We have no hope.
Yep.
We played a great last quarter. We played a grand final. We have no right to be there.
Yep.
Now we're going to fast forward.
Alrighty.
We're going to fast forward to 2007.
Alrighty.
Against Essendon again.
My God, we're still going back almost 20 years.
I'm getting
18 years. Okay, go on.
Let me land you up. Let me land.
Go on.
We're moving forward. Fast forward 2007. Down by 48 points against Essendon.
Okay. Essendon is shit too.
Against Essendon. We come back. Fevs kicks 8.5. We win the game. Now, don't worry about how 2007 ended, but it's the comeback. It's the comeback. You see the theme, right?
There's a comeback.
Comeback.
Those comebacks happen almost 10 years apart. But go on.
No.
Go on.
Now, where I'm going to go with this. 2023.
Oh my God.
22 years.
Do you see it's incrementally getting the years, the gaps between each other?
Let me tell you the pathway.
Go on.
We lose to Essendon before the bye.
Okay.
We got belted.
You guys were in the mud, 2 years ago.
In the mud. Before the bye, we get belted. Next game, and then I think we win 9 of our last 10.
Alrighty.
All right. We go on, play in a prelim.
Guys, this is the delusion that's
we are in 2025. We play Essendon after a bye.
Alrighty.
We are in a similar position. In 2023, we were 15th after the bye. We were sitting on about 22 points. So very similar position. I think we're now
if you're going where I think you're going with this conversation.
We are going to go.
We're
going to belt Essendon. I'm telling you now, this is the pathway.
I don't doubt that part.
No.
But if you're going where I think you're going,
going to win the next 4 games.
Oh my God.
And then,
what's your next 4 games?
Putting me on the spot here, but I think we've got Essendon, West Coast, North.
Okay, yeah, you'll win those.
I think maybe Hawthorn.
And that'll be the end of it.
Someone else.
No, I know you guys are playing Hawthorn later on the year.
Port Adelaide, maybe some.
You'll probably beat those 4.
So
you should beat those 4.
We should beat them. We'll beat them.
Okay.
That's our pathway. We win those next 4.
To what?
To September.
Oh my God.
But
my God.
I'm not just talking about September, bro.
Oh my.
I'm talking about the pathway to grand final.
Guys,
day.
no.
We know how to do it.
We're not doing this today.
We did it in 99.
This is the very first episode.
We did it in 99. We played the grand final.
We are not doing this bullshit on the first episode.
It's going to happen. It happened in 2023.
You're not starting this delusion on the first episode.
Yeah, we're going to play in the grand final.
Oh my God. Guys, hey,
not even playing.
I'm glad we're doing this on camera now because I've been saying this guy's delusional for a very long time.
We're the best
right here?
We're the best team on paper.
Yeah, not on the field. It doesn't matter that you're best spine and they're doing absolutely nothing.
Once they click.
How long have they? Kerno's 28 or 29. Cripps is 30.
They're going to click.
Wiedering is like 26 or 27.
They need to take the bye, reset, and we move.
Okay,
See you on grand
I'm not
final
gonna
day.
lie to you guys. I don't know what to do with this delusion.
Nah,
Very
I'm
first
serious.
episode, we're starting it like
I'm
this.
telling you, it's that simple.
So Carlton didn't play this week, and you're telling me that your segment about Carlton is about telling me about all the comebacks they've done, or all the whatever you want to call it, underdog stories they have from the last 26 years. Mind you, there's only 3 of them that you mentioned. From the last 26 years, and how it relates to how you guys are going to get out of the mud this year and go to the grand final.
Well, I'm telling you the pathway. We did it. We've got the scripts from 2 years ago. We're just going to go one better. Instead of playing in a friendly, we're playing a grand final.
Oh my God.
We can do it again. I'm not even worried this time around. 2 years ago, 2023, I was like, season's done. This time, no chance. But
you know what? We're going to move on from this bullshit because this conversation is frying my brain. So, I don't understand in what world you believe what you're saying is real. But fair enough. We'll see. We won't see none of this happen. But we'll come back to this conversation a couple of weeks, maybe a month or 2 down the line. And we'll see where Carlton is. And we'll rehash this. If you're still talking about we're still going to make finals then.
We'll see.
Moving on. We have a segment in this show where we kind of go over the round before's games, and we kind of pick our top team of the week and our flop team of the week, right? And we kind of basically just have a couple of, a few minutes of a conversation about what team is a top team for both of us or separately, and what team's a flop team. And I'll get you to start us off. And your top team for round 12 was
Adelaide.
Okay, yes.
Punished Sydney.
They destroyed Sydney, right?
Yeah, they made Sydney look foolish at the MCG.
Yep.
Wayne Malera, quiet as an defender. Sydney defender. Sydney. Oh my
Adelaide
God, I'm
defender.
so tired.
That's all right.
Adelaide defender.
Yep.
Called them rabble. And they were.
Made a bit of a headline.
Sydney were rabble and Adelaide were good. So look, Adelaide are in form. Their top picks
4 now
have come through. They're in the top 4. So
their trading has gone well as well.
They've done well. So Adelaide for me.
Adelaide for you. And I think, surprisingly, my top team of the week is Richmond. I think they did a pretty good job going up there to Sydney.
They should have won.
I honestly believe they should have won that game. They played great. Their kids played great. I think Ryan Mansell, number 13 with the long hair.
I think so, yeah.
He is turning into some player for Richmond. I think he's doing a great job at holding down the back line or the half-back midfield area of the field for Richmond. The way they kind of put up a fight, their pressure, it was amazing. Like, I was completely shocked, and I thought to myself, maybe I should have tipped Richmond for the... Last week when we were talking about who we thought was going to win, you remember I said Richmond might belt on my 100 for a jazzy joke. I said that. I meant no part of that, believe me. Yeah. But after seeing how well Richmond played on the weekend, I was quite shocked that they didn't end up winning. Again, the Giants' experience and their kind of effort late in the game pulled through for them.
They did it for Collingwood. So.
Yeah, very sad story there as well. He did his ACL on the weekend, which might end his career. But yeah, I was very, very happy with what I saw with Richmond. The week before that, they played well against Essendon as well, the Dreamtime game.
They did.
They're struggling to kind of finish off games now. And I think that's probably the one area of improvement they probably need to actually play the full 4 quarters. But yeah, I think Richmond were great, this team.
And you can start. We'll start with you for your
the flop
of the week.
Hawthorn, 1,000% Hawthorn.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm not even saying this because they played against Collingwood. Genuinely, like the expectations and the way everybody thought they were going to go, and how well they kind of started off their season. I think they won 1 game against a top 8 team.
Maybe they're just not that good. Maybe,
and that's what I'm saying. The way they started the season, they hadn't played a top 8 team. I think it was, I can't remember who it was that they played in the top 8, and they beat. But every other top 8 team they've played, they've lost to Gold Coast, Geelong, Collingwood.
Yeah.
They play doggies in Adelaide soon. GWS was the only team they beat. I just remembered. So yeah, that's the flop. That's the flop team of the week for me. Or yourself?
I said Adelaide was my top team, and Sydney was the flop. So
I couldn't agree more.
Like I said, Wayne Malera called them rabble, and I agree. And I'll leave that one there. Not much more to say about Sydney.
Absolutely. Moving on, our next segment of the show will be touching on a few topics that we've kind of come to agree need to be discussed a little, or we have opposing views on. And the first one of those is, I think, the umpiring this season,
Yeah.
which I think has been horrendous.
Absolutely disagree. I have a very strong opinion about
This is the
umpiring.
Carlton delusion
There's
continuing.
no delusion here. There's no delusion. I think.
Tell me why the umpires
it's,
are not
it's an
doing a horrible
absolute
job.
cop out to blame umpires
Why?
for bad decisions. It's an
Why?
absolute cop out. I'll tell you why.
Here
Look,
go.
I've got
Here we go, guys.
multiple reasons, but in summary, it's easy to blame the umpires. It's hard to blame your own team. It's hard to give credit to the opposition. And as human beings, bro, we don't like being held accountable. So what are we gonna do? We're blaming the umpires.
Absolutely not.
Cop out.
Absolutely not.
Leave the umpires alone.
What do we do when someone does a mistake?
We call them out.
And what do we want them to do?
Do better.
And take accountability, right?
Yeah.
So why are we excusing the umpires from doing their jobs properly?
Because they make 100 good decisions, and the one or two bad decisions they make gets microscoped.
But isn't that what they're getting paid for to make the right decisions?
They get paid to make good decisions, but so do the players on your team.
Yeah, but
No
the players
player
affect.
gets paid.
Yeah, but listen, here's the
the
difference. The players affect their own team. They don't affect the game. If they make a mistake, they affect their own team. If the guys that are officiating the game make a mistake, they affect everybody on the field.
But it's easy to blame umpires when you lose, and no one gives them credit when they win. Not that they should, but it's not the umpire's fault your team lost.
Yeah, but
you lost because your team is shit.
We're not blaming the umpires for losses and wins. We're blaming the umpires for bad decisions.
But I mean,
bad decisions that affect the game.
I would say that
affect the welfare of players and the people playing the game.
I mean, I know you're going there with. I know where you're going with the Lockie Shields. Like, that's been acknowledged.
Okay,
that's a bad decision.
okay, no. I'll say this, and I said this when we had this conversation last week. I said this to you as well. That Lockie Shields situation was a horrible situation.
It was.
Player got knocked out, unconscious, barely able to move, but the umpires decided to continue the game on as if nothing had happened, while they were very well aware of what had happened. But they were just like, oh, like the ball's not going near there, so we'll just kind of keep it going. Whereas if they just stopped the game for a couple of minutes, let the player, the club medicos, the doctors, everybody that was in that situation walk off the field safely, continue play. It's not like soccer where the time just keeps running.
It's a bad decision. That's all it was.
And that's what we're saying. Those are bad. Okay, two weeks ago at the Dreamtime game, I was at that game, right? You know what I'm about to bring up, right? Fantastic. So that day, you already know what I'm talking about, but see, so that day there was a Richmond player coming out of the back line. He literally tried. There was a teammate leading into empty space for him. He was trying to kick the ball to that teammate. Every now and then, every player has a kick. They shank, comes off the wrong side of the boot, goes over the boundary line. The umpire that was officiating the game at that point in time, or that was in that vicinity, ran over and said, insufficient intent, deliberate. This guy saw his teammate, said, I'm going to pass the ball to you. His kicking error is what made the ball go out of bounds. Not he looked at the boundary line and say, g'day, mate, I got a present for you. Yeah. He just said, hey, I'm going to try to kick it to my teammate, but I kind of messed up the kick.
I acknowledge umpires make bad decisions.
And what we're saying is do better. All we're saying is do better.
Hey, Collingwood would have to do better report.
Oh my God, here we go.
That's off topic.
Quit bringing
We'll leave
bringing
it at
up
that.
old shit,
we'll
bro.
Leave it at that. But unfair. I was uncalled for. We'll do better report. I'll take
Maybe I should stop using the words do better so we don't keep referring to that shit.
But, I mean, I don't think their decisions impact games. They make bad decisions, but they're no different to players that make bad decisions. They're no different to coaches that make bad decisions. They're no different to...
I think whoever's officiating the game, I'm not saying mistakes don't happen. We're wholeheartedly admitting mistakes happen. You know, they can make mistakes. What I'm saying is they can't be making bad mistakes week after. On the weekend, there was the Essendon Brisbane game. Yeah. You know what I'm about to bring up as well. I sent you the clip on Instagram and I said, look at this,
You said you're going to go.
And I'll include this clip in the video later on. An Essendon player that was contesting the ball in the middle of at the bottom of a pack literally grabbed the ball with their two hands and just threw it out like this, yeah?
They missed a call.
And that's also a horrible call. That's my point, right? So he threw the ball out and the umpires went, play on. Like, I did not know we could do that in the AFL. I've never seen that happen in footy where a player can just grab the ball and throw it out. Not a hand pass, not like a miss, nothing. He literally just threw it out like it was a basketball. And the umpire said, play on. Bulldogs. And everybody looked at each other like, what sport is this now?
Like I said, they make bad calls. That's all it was, a bad call.
And we're just saying we want them to improve. We want them to get better. We want them to make
I think
The only thing we want
scrutiny
them,
on them is unfair.
the only thing I think the public and the footy world wants is for them to make better decisions and gradually get better at it. We're not saying make
Guarantee,
mistakes.
even if they make better decisions, we're still going to be blaming umpires. I guarantee you.
I don't think so.
I assure you, week in, week out, no matter how good the game is being umpired,
Yep.
we're going to blame umpires because we refuse to take accountability.
I mean,
But look,
listen.
we can talk about umpires forever. We need to keep it moving.
Keep moving?
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
So,
In saying that, we're going to move into the segment now where we kind of give our opinions,
Yeah,
our
absolutely.
tips, our thoughts on the upcoming round. We're halfway through the season, literally smack bang by the time this comes out. And round 13 will be upon us this Thursday, I believe.
yeah, that's right. We've got the Bulldogs and the Hawks.
Yes.
I think that's at Marvel, if my
Yes,
eyesight
it is Marvel.
is correct. At
Yep,
Marvel. I tip on form, and the Dogs are in form. The Hawks are not in form.
Yep.
I can see the Hawks responding, but the Bulldogs for me.
I agree with you. I can't even fight you. The Hawks have had a tumultuous couple of weeks now.
Awful.
Lost to Gold Coast, which they didn't play badly in. Then they got plastered by us last week.
Yep.
I think there was another game between
Brisbane.
the Brisbane game.
Yeah.
They got plastered in that Brisbane game too. They lost to us, so that's 3 losses to top 8 teams. They play Bulldogs this week. I don't think they're going to get past the Bulldogs. Not at Marvel. They couldn't get past Brisbane at the MCG, who they haven't lost to since 2019 or whatever it was. And they got showed out the way they did last week against us. I didn't think they would get past the Doggies. So I agree with you on that. I think definitely the Doggies.
We do have stuff we agree on. Just checking. Just checking.
Yep. When it doesn't relate to Collingwood or Carlton,
Or
umpires, we will agree. And then the next game of the round, another big blockbuster, two top eight teams, playing Adelaide and Brisbane down at Adelaide Oval.
Adelaide were my top team of the week, and I'm going to tip them at the Adelaide Oval over Brisbane.
Yep.
Brisbane have been in form. They
Yep.
could be better,
Yep.
but Adelaide are the form team for me. So
Do you think Brisbane has been a bit shaky?
I mean, they're second. What are they?
They're second,
They're
yeah.
second, but they don't look like a convincing second.
Like they're just
Yeah,
scraping through it, kind of just holding on.
There was that loss to Melbourne, and
The draw to North Melbourne.
I
mean, they scraped across the line against Essendon last week as well.
So,
But yeah, I again will agree with you. If that game was being played maybe up at the Gabba, I would have said Brisbane. But the fact that it's being played down in South Australia at Adelaide Oval, I reckon the Crows should be very comfortably getting over the Lions, and maybe even jumping into second spot, which right now they're only a game out from. So, yep, we can agree.
They rebuild after us too, and they're back up already.
Buddy, every team has started the rebuild after you guys. First game of Saturday, Richmond versus Sydney at the MCG.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna tip Sydney. I can't believe I'm doing this.
After the last couple of weeks they've had.
Back. They're going to have to bounce back. They're too good not to. They're full of stars. Also, going off topic here, Tom Harley, CEO of Sydney,
Yep.
is now announced the Chief Operations Officer at the AFL.
Wow.
So
not only they're crumbling on field, they're almost crumbling off field too.
So, Sydney for me.
I got to disagree with you on that one. I think Richmond at the MCG, considering they were my top team of the week, and considering the way they've been playing the last couple of weeks against pretty good opposition, I would say. At the MCG,
You reckon they'll go in as favourites? I haven't seen
I haven't seen it as well.
They might be.
Maybe, to be
Yeah.
honest. I don't know, but I reckon Richmond should notch another win for this season. Considering the way Sydney have been playing. Who knows? Sydney might turn up like they have a couple of weeks ago and actually do a decent job. Or they might turn into 2024 Sydney and destroy Richmond. Or they might be the Sydney that we saw last week that got plastered by 91 points. And
we don't know which.
we don't know, so I'm going to go with Richmond.
Geelong and the Suns.
And the GMHBA.
Straightforward one for me, Geelong. But they didn't. West Coast.
I think they took the piss with West Coast. So I'm not gonna lie.
They did what they needed to do. So
They got the job done. I think up until the last quarter, they kind of let. Because I think we were talking about this the other day, and with like 10 or 12 minutes left in the last quarter. They were only up by 6 points. And they piled on 7 goals or whatever it was after that to win by 43. So, yeah.
Professional outfit.
I think Gold Coast will put on a pretty good showing, considering they lost to Fremantle up in Gold Coast last weekend. But I think they should do a great job and get over the line against... Geelong should do a great job and get over the line against Gold Coast down in Geelong. And then the next game, or the last game of Saturday, is GWS versus Port.
This is a danger game for both teams for different reasons. The Giants haven't looked good.
Explain.
The Giants haven't looked good.
Yep.
Port Adelaide have looked rubbish.
Yep.
But you would think... I don't even know where I'm going to go with this, but I think... I don't know where I'm going with this. Whatever. But anyways, I'm tipping the Giants. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you. I think the Giants should easily get over a very, very poor Port Adelaide team this year. And that brings us to the first of 2 games on Sunday, which is North versus West Coast. I couldn't tell you who I would think would get over the line for this one, I'll be honest.
Both teams have been playing good footy.
I think they both have, but I think they've both been inconsistent, even though they've been playing well. It hasn't been full 4-quarter efforts, I think. And North Melbourne coming off the bye, West Coast coming off that very late loss, I guess you can call it, against Geelong the other day. I think North can get over the line.
I'm going to disagree with you on that one. I liked what I saw from the Eagles.
Okay.
Last week.
Yeah.
They looked like they had a game plan, so I'm going to tip West Coast.
Lovely. And then the big one for the weekend,
night,
the second big one for the weekend, your boys up against the Bombers.
I think we're going to win. We're going to win by 35 points.
You said this a couple of weeks ago.
35
we were having the
points.
same conversation against the Giants. And
walk all over Essendon.
I mean, I hope you do.
I think
Essendon
Charlie
just as shit as you guys, to be honest.
Could be kicking 8. Charlie Kerner to kick 8.
Has Charlie Kerner kicked multiple goals the last 2 games
I don't
he's
know
played?
when the last. He's kicked 10 before, but I think he'll kick 8 against Essendon.
Well,
They've got
unfortunately,
no defenders.
we have another mate who's an Essendon supporter, which we should have brought him on this week for this episode, but
maybe in time,
maybe in the future, yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, I'll have to agree with you and say Carlton should get over. If you want your team to start their road to September, I think you guys have to win this game.
We're going to win. Charlie to kick 8.
We'll see what happens next week when we're back here having this conversation. And the last game of the round, which is the infamous Melbourne Collingwood game on King's birthday, which used to be Queen's birthday, but they've changed it since. And what are we thinking? What are your thoughts?
Neil Danaher Day as well.
Yes, the Big Freeze Day.
Big Freeze and... Is it MND?
Yes, the fight for MND, which has been going for 11 years now.
11 years, yeah. So, look, I'm going to tip Collingwood.
I think it'd be silly not to.
So, Melbourne have been...
Top of the ladder, come on. The best team in the league. So, there's nothing I can argue with that about Collingwood being the one that comes out on top in that game. And that does it for round 13 of this season. And that brings us to the end of our episode, our very first episode of Between the Sticks. It's been fun, Bill.
It's been good. It's been good, yeah.
A little back and forth,
Yeah, I can't wait. It's been a lot of fun. And
it's taken some time, but we're
here.
Yeah,
a long journey.
Absolutely.
But on that note, we also say Eid Mubarak.
Yes, to all our Muslim brothers and sisters out there. That's this Friday.
Lovely and safe Eid.
Most definitely. Enjoy it with your families. And... we'll just wrap it up from here.
That's all from us.
Lovely.
See you next week.
We'll catch you guys next week. Take care. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Tune in and ciao. Take care, guys.
See you go.